Hey y'all, I'm Blaine Phillips.
And I'm Phillips-LeVan.
We're married, like just a minute ago, but we've been together for 14 years.
We have a teenage daughter.
Which means she's basically an adult, right?
We're also growing a business on the side together.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Through all of that, we've learned how to improve so many aspects of our lives and show up in an amazing way.
So we decided to host a podcast to share our journey with you.
It's called Let's Do Life Together, because that's just what we want to do with you.
So if you could use some tips and tricks on how to make life a little smoother,
then you're in the right place.
come on in and let's do life. All right, no singing.
Really? I mean, how can you title the episode Let It Go and expect that I'm not going to bust into a Frozen rendition?
Well,
really?
We don't
You can
want to,
sing if you want.
Trademark infringement or whatever they call it.
You made that up. You think what I would sing would sound remotely like what they've trademarked? I promise it would not. You can sing if you like. We're all here for it. We're waiting. Ready? Oh, just as I imagined. No singing happening. Well, hello there. It's true. Our episode today is entitled Let It Go. Not in the Frozen sense, but I suppose you could say that if you want. It's an idea that came to me from two things. One, at the beginning of every month, we have this like felt board in our house, and it's Sienna's responsibility. I don't know if I'll say responsibility. It's something Sienna does. I think she gets joy from it. And she will update a new quote for the month. And we don't talk about it. She does it. She has something in her brain, on her heart, or she Googles, she saw something, whatever. I don't know. But this is the quote that is written on the felt board for this month. It says, "Autumn shows us how beautiful it is to let things go." Oh, that's good, right? That's good. It was a good one. Plus, I mean, we know I love fall, so that's important as well. The next thing that just like, you hear things and they sit in your heart for a little bit. Well, then later I was listening to, a podcast or a live broadcast or something. Dave Hollis was talking on it, which that is Rachel Hollis's husband. If you're not familiar, the author / speaker / whatever she is. And he said this quote, I don't remember the exact context, but he used the words, "Release yourself from their influence." Both of those things like stuck with me. And I came to Jason and they just like sat with me that week. I was like, listen, we need to do a podcast episode about this idea of letting things go. Just like the leaves fall off in the fall, releasing yourself of their influence. And it hits home for me mostly because this is definitely an area where I struggle in more than he does per se, but it's the idea of other people's opinions of you, other people's judgment, whatever you want to call it. I'd say that's what we're going to talk about today, letting it go.
Yeah, and I think it ties into, or we talk about adding more positive things, or you want to add, new habits and improve in particular areas, but I think it's equally important to kind of cut out the negative and to actually make room in your life for those positive influences or those positive habits.
Good point. How is your ability to let things go, Jason? Why are you laughing?
I think I've developed that skill successfully over time.
But let's unpack that a little bit. I mean, is that really a skill that you developed of letting things go or releasing the influence? Or did you ever even have it?
It might be a personality type where it's easy for me to not carry that influence of others. And yeah.
I think that is an important differentiator. You don't pick it up, so you don't need to let it go. like you never carry it. I won't say never, but you way less than me take in other people's opinions or carry their thoughts or anything to need to let anything go per se. If anything, you probably need to let your own way that you think, this own standard that you've developed for your own self. You're probably harder on yourself than anyone else's influence would be. That's my psychology analysis for the morning.
I generally don't. I say I don't care what other people think, but I mean that's somewhat true, and that's just from having a certain degree of comfort and security and confidence from a young age. So, it's all in all aspects. So I'm going to do what I want to do. I don't really worry about being judged by others.
That's true. He really doesn't. No one can say that we don't care what other people think, because that's not true. I mean, it's just not. You do. We all do to some shape or form. And some just do more than others and less than others. And Jason does less than others. And then there's me, on the other hand, who spent many, many years, the majority of my years, allowing other people's opinions of what I do greatly impact what I did. I wanted approval. I sought after approval. And a lot of this comes from childhood and things like that. And I would read into things someone might say or not say in other ways. And that can it can paralyze you, first of all, and it can weigh you down, and it becomes a lot. So I think that's what we're going to talk about today. The thing is, and this has come to light in our lives the last 6 years more than ever before. If you want to do something different, if you're stepping out of the norm in any way, you're going to meet resistance. Even you just start dipping your toe out of the societal norms, or not even society, your circle's norms, your family's norms, the comfortable path, or maybe it's not even comfortable. It's just what they know. It's the path that they've done. It's going to meet with resistance. And when I talk about stepping out, I mean anything. Like if you make a decision that you want to quit smoking, and the majority of the people that you hang out with or in your family smokes, that's different. It's not bad. It's not good. Like, that's great that you want to quit smoking, but it's different. If you want to stop drinking, if you hang out with a big group of friends and they're always throwing them back on the weekends or on vacation, and you decide for whatever reason that this isn't the thing for you, I don't care if you decide because your doctor told you to, or you don't like the person that you are when you do it. You're stepping out. You're doing something different. You want to improve your health, which means that you're going to skip the fast food and you're going to start going to the gym instead of binge watching Netflix. So when someone asks, did you see the latest Game of Thrones? You're like, nope, I didn't. I was at the gym. Like, that's different. It's stepping out of what is traditionally been the norm.
Or what's popular or common and those types of things. It's easy to not change. I mean, there's no resistance in just doing what you're doing and going, as there's some analogy about water, and some's in, the water fills something and flows, but...
Did you make that up?
No, there's something out there. But it's easy to not change and just to go with it. And, most of the examples that you mentioned, it's about saying no. And, like we said, saying no is kind of letting it go. So you say no, I'm not going to do that for whatever reason. And that's when you start to feel that resistance or judgment. And there might not actually be. I think, a lot of times you feel it and it's just still internal. It's not outwardly people judging you. You just feel like they are.
Yeah, that's a great point.
In some cases, I mean, they'll call you out. Like, especially if you're hanging out with your buddies and it's all drinking buddies traditionally, and you stop drinking, they're gonna ask you about it.
Maybe mock you about it,
right.
Ask you about it. You'll have some that are like, cool, I'm here for you. And you'll have some that will be like, no, it's fine. Just have one with us. One won't hurt you. You're going to have all aspects. And like Jason said, staying the same, even if you hate where you are. Like, let's talk about drinking. Even if you do not like the person that you are when you drink, it's what you know. So staying in that place is easier than saying no sometimes, than stepping out, than doing something different, because resistance is out there. And even doing the thing that we don't like who we are and we really don't want to do, it's what we've always done. And what you've always done is easier than change. So you're going to step out. And very good point that Jason made. You've got two things that are going to happen. One, you're going to hit that resistance, and it could just be resistance that you made up in your head. You think they're talking about you. You think they're judging your decision to do something different, but no one has actually said that or vocalized that or in any way. Actually, that's not real. That's a story that you're telling yourself in your mind. And then you'll have the people who will just flat tell you. They, like he said, the buddies that are like, come on, just have one. Or what are you doing? Why do you want to change your health? What are you doing? Why are you cracking down on your finances? We used to go on this vacation 3 times a year together. Why aren't you going this year? Like, whatever, they're actually vocalizing it. And I've come to kind of develop these reasons in my mind. These are my opinions, our opinions. They're mine, and Jason will give his, of why people vocalize that. Why are they judging your resistance? And I think that number one comes from fear. I think that they're scared of the person that you might become, that you're somehow going to be someone different, especially if these are, it could be your spouse that we're talking about. Like if you decide to step out and do something new and your spouse isn't there, we're talking about your spouse, your circle of friends, your family, those people that are in your life. They could just be afraid. I believe they are afraid at times of this new person that you're becoming, because what if you change and then you no longer like them or want to hang out with them? And that's scary to someone, especially when it's an immediate someone.
Yeah, so I think it's that concept of people growing apart versus growing together. So, if it's a couple and one person's on a journey of self-improvement and growth and the other isn't, that could cause some legitimate problems.
I think the other thing that people, they're scared of your change shining a light on something that maybe they need to improve. Although that is not your intention at all. You've decided this for yourself. For yourself, you've decided you don't like the person you are when you drink. So you are not going to drink or limit your drinking or cut back on your drinking or whatever it is. And you could be met with resistance by those people because all of a sudden, by you making that choice, they're looking at themselves like, oh, well, I don't really like who I am when I drink either. Is that what she's trying to say? Is she trying to say that I'm not good when I drink? And that's not what it is. But that can be where they're feeling, what they're coming from, and where their judgment comes because they feel like your change is somehow shining a light on maybe an area that needs some attention in their life as well.
I think that any time you get exposed to something new, some new idea or a new way of doing something or thinking about something, that's totally natural to then say, all right, does this apply to me or could it? So if you're saying, if your friend's like, well, I'm really going to stop the fast food and focus on eating better, so no, I'm not going to go out to lunch with you every day. Well, all right, then if I go to the drive-through, I've been exposed to that thought, so it's natural that I would say, well, why is that person doing that? Well, maybe they have a point.
Yeah, but if you're not developed enough to get there and you don't want to think that maybe they have a point, then you might be a turd back. Well, that's dumb. I'm going to get my Wendy's. And then you feel judged by your choice. So, it's definitely, it shines a light on it and that fear comes out. I think the other thing is sometimes people, Sienna, our daughter, is a teenager, as you know, and like the current slang is, this makes me think about throwing shade. Like you're going to throw shade at someone else, but you're going to make fun of someone else, or like you're putting it off you and onto someone else. So many times people don't want to look in their own backyard. Like you don't want You don't want to handle what's going on. You probably are likely know some areas in your life that need to be improved. But if you throw the shade at someone else, if you judge, if you are their resistance, then you don't have to shine the light into your own backyard and what's going on. And that happens. That's common.
Right. Like, they're one of those people and those meal preps and runs and, all these self-improvement podcasts and things like that. And, they throw that negative connotation or association with it.
Which I'm not really sure how any of that could be negative, considering I feel like you just described us. But they do, because if you throw it and you make it a negative, if they are things that in their heart are actually on their heart that they want to do, but they aren't there yet, they're being lazy about doing it, or they're scared or whatever, then they make it look like a negative, and so they don't have to do it as well. You throw shade on someone else, then the sun's not shining on you. And that's not okay. But here's the point. You're not going to be able to change someone else's opinion. It's just not going to happen. Like, when's the last time you were going to vote a certain way and your neighbor wasn't, and you were able to change their mind? Like, it's not going to happen. You are going to quietly influence people from afar over time. But just you saying so, you making a decision to step out, you saying I'm going to do this, you saying I think this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, those things are not going to just overnight change someone's opinion. It's just not. But what you have to do, what you do have the power to do, is change how it affects you.
Because it's really just, it's in your head mostly anyways. So... And who cares if they are judging you and they do have an opinion and they're not supportive? Well, they're not living your life.
I went through a really hard season with this, where it was the first few years of the things where Jason and I we were doing different things. We started to exercise, we started to meal plan, we started to pass on certain parties that just weren't positive influences. We started to save our money, and so we would say no to vacations and various things that were different. And we met a lot of resistance and a lot of pushback, and that was hard for me. It was before I knew where that resistance was coming from. It was before I was able to identify what they might be thinking in their minds. And I lost friendships. Like, we lost friendships. People said hurtful, ugly things to me. And that was hard. And Jason was very comforting and very loving in the best way he could, because he has a very hard time understanding where I'm coming from, because he doesn't have that same concern for other people. But he developed this saying that he would say to me, not right away. He would let me usually stop crying and come down from it a little bit. And then he would just look at me with sweet eyes and his very sweet words. He would say,
well, they're not your people. I mean, it's true. It was that transition from FOMO to JOMO, right? Right? Yeah.
You're making things up all over the place today.
Fear of missing out to the joy of missing out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's exaggerated by social media, and where you see people posting and sharing and here's the highlight reel, and it was so much fun hanging out. And at the beginning, there's that twinge of, wish, we were there or invited. And then when you actually think about it, you do not care. You weren't upset about missing out.
It's true. They're not my people.
You wouldn't have a good time if you were there.
They're not my people. They're not our people. They're not going where I'm going. And I have slowly learned to just let it go, release their influence on my life. As long as I am doing what brings me joy, what lights me up, and what is best for this little family of 3, because these are the people that matter most to me in the world, and that's the best that I can do. And I know that people are going to have an opinion about it, and I know I can't change it, and I now am much more appreciative of where their opinions likely come from. You've heard the saying, hurt people hurt. And that's true. When they're hurting, when they need to do something themselves, they're likely going to throw shade at someone else. And I just have to love them where they are and realize that they're not going where I want to, release their influence on my life, and just do what I want to do. On the flip side of that, I'm not telling you that when you decide to do something different, when you decide to step out in whatever way that is, tighten up your finances, become an ultra marathon runner, whatever that may be, don't go out guns blazing, fingers in the air, like, screw you and all your friends, I'm doing this my way. Like, don't be a jerk. Like, because I just told you where many of their insecurities are probably coming from. You've probably been one of those people in your life. I know I have been, where I've never been a turd to someone vocally, but quietly judged them. And it came from one of those insecurities of my own. So just go out and do yours. And if you have people that you need to move away from and release their influence, do that quietly and slowly in your own time. Don't ruffle feathers while they're trying to ruffle yours.
And I think just have confidence in your decisions to improve or make these changes. And who knows, some people might come with you. That's the best of both worlds, right?
Yeah, for sure. People coming with you. And I can promise you this. If people come with you, it's great, but you will meet new people along the way that are on the same path or similar paths that you are. And that's what life is, right? We're constantly ebbing and flowing. And listen, friend, listen to me right now. I need you to know I'm proud of you. Whatever that thing is that you're doing right now, that meal plan that you're following that is totally different than anyone else in your house, the early mornings where you're setting your clock and you're getting up to walk the neighborhood when no one wants to join you, when you're budgeting and you're saying no to Starbucks and lunch dates when everyone in the office is going and you're choosing to bring your lunch, when you are deciding to work on your marriage, when your other two best friends are divorcing and going on a girls' trip and you decide that's not best for you. Whatever that thing is that you're doing, I'm proud of you because it was placed on your heart for a reason and you're choosing to step out. And it's hard to step out. It's hard to go into that resistance. I've been there. I am there right now and I will be there again. So please hear, I'm proud of you. Jason's proud of you. We're proud of you. And if you're struggling right now to find someone that is proud of you, to find a positive voice in the sea of resistance and judgment, hit me up. Find me on Instagram. I'm Blaine Phillips. And let me pour some light into your life because the thing that you're choosing to do is hard. And I'm proud of you for doing it.
So that reminds me of that other saying I like to use.
Oh, here we go with another saying.
I got you, boo.
Oh, boy. That's true. He has said that one as well. He'll usually say, you're not my people, and follow it with, I got you, boo. And it's true. He does always have me. So I hope this was helpful to you as the leaves fall off the trees. Let it be a visual reminder to you to let those things go. You're not going to change their opinions, but don't let it hold you back from where you want to go. Just release their influence and let me be an influence in your life. Until next time.